All right, we are live.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to exciting time, hopefully, that football is going to be back. We got salaries out through FanDuel, DraftKings, all our betting services, and myself and Cameron are here to let you know about week one, some plays that we like, some plays we don't like, people we might want to fade, and just all that is good within the realm of fantasy football here on
we are almost within 1 month. We're almost within 1 month of kickoff.
I know. I can't wait.
Wait, are we exactly a month, or is it the 13th?
1 month from today is Texans and Patrick Mahomes.
It's not even the Chiefs anymore. It's just Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. I think that's where we're at now. And good news is, even though college football might be in flux, which is heartbreaking, the NFL is already working on getting Saturday games. So, they're playing. They don't care.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to absorb all of that. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you're a Big Ten fan. I'm sure you were unhappy.
I'm very unhappy. Very unhappy. But, I mean, hey, you never know. They said some teams might join the Big 12, and then Penn State would be top of the list with Michigan and Ohio State. So.
That'd be crazy. Big Ten dissolves to go into other conferences to play football because of COVID-19. That'd be the most 2020 thing ever. We're going to look back on 2020 like 30 years from now and be like, that was one of the most chaotic times.
It's going to be a hell of a 30 for 30 ESPN's going to throw out.
They're going to have endless stories. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go ahead. I'm actually I can't do DraftKings where I'm at. And DraftKings locked me out. So I can't even get on there because of the geofencing. They won't even let me look at the prices. So I'm going to rely on you for those prices.
Okay.
I play a lot of FanDuel. I've got all the FanDuel pricing. So and you can do both. So you can probably look at both if you want. If not, that's cool. You can just do DraftKings. But as far as quarterbacks are concerned, what stood out to you?
Like I said, this is going to be the biggest ultimate homer. Like you said, everyone knows I'm an Eagles fan. And I usually am not one. I don't like drafting my own favorite team's players. I don't like even playing them. But the first thing that stood out to me is also because it's Eagles-Redskins matchup week one. Carson Wentz is only 6,300 on DraftKings. And compared to some of the other quarterback prices that are a few notches higher with some healthy players, at least for 1 week with the Eagles, Carson Wentz stood out as one of the QBs that's very undervalued. And like I said, that might be the only week I promote because, like I said, I hate playing my own favorite team players. But I think Carson Wentz stood out to me as one of the undervalued plays. And
it's funny you say that because he's actually my number one on FanDuel when I looked at it. So that gives you a little credibility there because that was my number one as well. When I was looking at him, he's 7,700 on FanDuel, and he's grouped around the Josh Allens, the Matt Ryans, and Kyler Murray in that range. I think he's easily – I like Kyler Murray a lot, but I think he's easily the second best quarterback in that range. And in this game, on Philadelphia, somebody is going to score a lot of points. And we'll get to the running backs in a minute. But,
not even that. Well, the receivers, at least on DraftKings, at least for 1 week. We'll get to it. But
but this game, somebody on Philadelphia is going to go off. I don't think they priced Carson Wentz correctly at all. I mean, I think Carson Wentz belongs on FanDuel in this Drew Brees range where Drew Brees is 8,100, Russell Wilson's 8,400. I wouldn't quite put him that high, but I'd put him around the 8,000, 8,100 range if you're asking me. And we're getting him down there at 7,600. So,
and like I said, for DraftKings, he's 500 less than Brees, 400 less than Matt Ryan, and 700 less than Russell Wilson. So for value, and again, like we said, this is different than what we did before. This is daily matchups. Right. Remember what we did earlier with everything with Russell was that's year longs, and that's a whole different ball game for anyone that's just new to all this. So, like I said, daily week one matchups.
What's the price difference from Jackson to everybody else on DraftKings?
Lamar is 80. Let me pull up all because I didn't write Lamar's down. I believe he's 80. There's 8,000. I think he's 8,100 actually. Mm-hmm. Sorry, let me pull up because I didn't write because he was just like, if you're gonna play him, you know what you're doing. You know what I mean, and that's fine. Yeah. I'm not gonna hate on anyone if they're playing Lamar Jackson.
He's $1,000 more on FanDuel than the next quarterback.
Sorry, let me.
Russell Wilson's 8,400. Yeah. Lamar Jackson is.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson's 8,100. The next one's Russell Wilson at 7,000. So he's 1,100 more than Russell Wilson, who's second.
Okay.
And again, we're not basing any. Like I said, I don't have like the Thursday games or any of the primetime games. I know all my stuff I did was just primed on Sunday during the day. I didn't know if you had anything different, Cameron. But mine's just based off of the Sunday slate, 1 and 4 o'clock games.
That's all I've got is just the Sunday. Okay. Yeah, I haven't gone on anything else. Yeah,
because I know there are like small different mini games you can play on each different FanDuel, DraftKings, and whatnot. But the meat of when we do this is going to be mostly when we talk about the big picture. It's the Sunday slate. That's the majority of what people do when they're doing dailies, and
that's where all that big money is. That's what we're trying to get to. So the second quarterback I was looking at when I was going through the prices is Cam Newton. Cam Newton to me is like, I know he's not the starter technically right now. Jared Stidham is said to be the starter, but let's be honest. Let's stop kidding ourselves here. Yeah. You have Cam Newton, you have Jared Stidham. Who's going to play? I don't care if you know the offense or not. Yeah. Who are you going to put out there?
You don't sign Cam Newton if you're not playing him. Right. No matter if you're Bill Belichick, no matter if you're Andy Reid, no matter who you're doing. You sign Cam Newton, it's a 1-year deal. You're going to play him. Half your team's already opted out of the season. You're going to throw Newton out there, see what he's got. Maybe if you go like 1-5, 0-6, then you see Stidham.
Let me tell you the people around Cam Newton too.
Yeah.
In that sense. So Cam Newton's 7,300 on FanDuel.
Okay.
He's next to Kirk Cousins, Phillip Rivers, and Matt Stafford. That's where he's priced.
Same. Yeah. He's 6,100 on DraftKings.
Right. And I'm pretty sure at that price on FanDuel, he's going to be a popular pick. When it comes out that he's a starter, he's going to be one of the chalkier because he's cheap. He's so cheap. He's down there at 70. I say so cheap, that's relative, but at 7,300, he can crush that, right? Because we're looking to get 3x. We're looking for him to get 20 points. He can get if he continues to rush. I don't know if he's going to have that same rushing style with Bill Belichick that he did.
But they do like to sneak the ball though, because think of all the touchdowns Tom Brady got from like the 1 yard line. So I still think he definitely has that value of getting the 1 yard touchdowns, which is huge. You know what I mean?
In any offense, the 60 yards that he did.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So
but it could convert some. Like I think there's gonna be a lot more short passing that he does than he did in Carolina. You know what I mean? So you got to utilize Edelman. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and I just think where he's grouped, I mean, it's just he's too cheap. He's way too cheap. Yeah. So who's your second one?
My second one, actually, I went with Jimmy G, and I'm not even the biggest Jimmy G fan, but he's at 5,800 on DraftKings, and that is literally the same as Gardner Minshew, Joe Burrow, and like Kirk Cousins in the same rank. And I still think the San Francisco offense, they're going to do great things. And I just think for week one, like I said, at 5,800, like I really could see myself like playing once and some and doing Jimmy G and others with some other 49er players as well, and feeling against Arizona's defense, they're going to put up points. I think it's going to be a shootout. So I still like Arizona's offense too. Like you mentioned, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's in my like range of like, it's a good price. He's like 6,400. But I mean, Jimmy G at 5,800, that's a good value, really good value week one. Because even last year, he still had 27 touchdowns. I mean, over 4,000 yards in Shanahan's offense. He's still going to have really big weeks. It's just knowing when to play him. And I think starting the season with that matchup, coming off the Super Bowl loss, they're going to get Jimmy G going, and I think he'd have a really, really good week one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I 100% agree there. All the news media is covering the running backs: Jerick McKinnon, Tevin Coleman, Mostert. Yeah, I can't ever. Is that his name? Mostert.
It's like Mostert.
Mostert.
It's like. Yeah, we know who you're talking about.
But, yeah, so they've got the three running backs. So people are going to be focused on trying to pick one of those and get it right? Yeah, probably not Jerick McKinnon. You know, Jerick McKinnon's going to be a role, like a situational guy. But between Coleman and Mostert, they're gonna. I said it different again.
No, you're right. I think that's more right. You say mustard. You say mustard. It's Raheem Mustard.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Raheem. I'm just gonna say Raheem.
Yeah, we'll know who it is.
Yeah, they're going to try to pick the running backs there. I think a good leverage spot is going Jimmy G because he doesn't have a super expensive receiver either. If you want to stack and double stack that game because it's going to be a shootout, I think that's a good spot because people are going to look at the running backs, and you got Brandon Ayuk over there, you got Kendrick Bourne. Unfortunately, George Kittle is outrageous on FanDuel right now. We'll get to that.
We'll get the tight end, and I have my own personal opinions on tight ends.
Yeah, but I love that Jimmy G part. Yeah. So. My third is Murray, Kyler Murray. His price, like I said, I forgot to write down the prices, so I got it pulled up right here. So just look again.
I'll say he's 6,400 on DraftKings, which makes him, like I said, he's right around with Wentz. But again, he's less than Josh Allen, he's less than Brady, 300 less than Matt Ryan, 400 less than Drew Brees. And I like even against the Niners defense, I think Murray, like the Niners defense was not like a top 5. They were like 14th. We wouldn't show because you can check the rankings when you know like when you put in all your stuff here, like Murray, and he's going to run too.
Right. And listen to the names that are next to him. And this is why I like Kyler Murray's for pricing purposes is in a beautiful spot because you've got Tom Brady, who's $100 below, who's $100 less, right below him.
Yep.
How many people look at that and they get in that price range and they need a quarterback and they look at Brady and Murray just on week one? Because week one has people that have never played before, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to go for those names, those big names. They're going to go for the Drew Brees, the Matt Ryans, the Tom Bradys, the Aaron Rodgers. And speaking of Aaron Rodgers, right below Tom Brady is Aaron Rodgers. So you got Murray, Brady, Rodgers right there. He's in a beautiful spot. He's up $200 more, and I love Kyler. Like you said, it's going to be a shootout. That secondary in San Francisco, not great. It's not.
Sherman's a year older. Sherman's, I mean, obviously a Hall of Fame player, but he's a year older, and he wasn't. You watched him get burned. Super Bowl, man. Remember in the Super Bowl watching him get burned for touchdowns. So
yeah, great corner, but he's past his prime. So I like Kyler. He's got too many weapons too. He can go anywhere with the ball.
And I think based off Kyler Murray, and I know me and Cam talked a lot about when we talked about the year long too. Take advantage of his pricing now because he is going to be up there with Lamar, Mahomes, and Wilson each week.
This is the cheapest he's ever going to be.
This is when you take advantage of that early on. Like if you do your research and you realize like if you're really high, Murray's he's gonna shoot up. And this is like when you went early on, just like during the season when you like. I remember a couple years ago with James Conner when he finally got to play with Le'Veon Bell. The first couple weeks of the season, he was like 4,200. Play him every week until they finally like realize, okay, he's legit. He's up to 7,000 2 weeks later. But those 2 weeks that you play with the value, that's where you make the money.
I mean, Kyler's in a system too. He can run the ball, he can scramble for yards. They can go 4 wide, 5 wide, probably 70% of the time. And then that doesn't count Kenyon Drake, who can catch passes out the back.
And he's perfect for that.
Yeah.
So much more than David Johnson too. You know what I mean? Like just with that offense. And again, it showed with Kenyon Drake at the end of last year how more explosive he was and catching the ball too and running.
Yeah. No, where do you think this is in running backs. I'm just curious.
That's fine.
Where does Chase Edmonds fit for you? Chase Edmonds was coming out as a third down pass catching back.
Yeah, I mean, like in regards to like year long or like dailies or just in general.
Just in general, fitting on that.
I mean, I think he's a guy like I wouldn't mind year longs drafting and like if I get Kenyon Drake, I'm definitely getting him. But a guy that I wouldn't mind taking a risk on. But he's a guy to keep an eye on if he ever gets like enough playing time, like that flex spot, like he'd be like in the 3,000 range, and he's getting enough touches that he's explosive. That's where you also, like you said about tripling, you know what I mean, like the price and your value with points, like 3 times the amount. Like, I mean, I like Chase Edmonds, also a Patriot League football guy there, so.
You keep going back to it. You got anybody else at quarterback that kind of stood out?
So to go against my Eagles, that stood out to me because he did him dirty last year, even though the Eagles still won. Dwayne Haskins is 5,000 on DraftKings. And even though the Eagles did add Darius Slay, and I'm very happy about that, their secondary is not that good. I mean, Jalen Mills is getting moved to safety.
I can't believe Jalen Mills is still on the Eagles.
Yeah, no. Rodney McLeod's not as good as he used to be. Like I said, I do like Slay, and I think he's going to travel. So, I mean, he'll be on McLaurin, but McLaurin will still get his touches. I think Haskins has sneaky value if you really want to go, you know what I mean, with that at 5,000. Like I said, the Eagles defense, like, they're susceptible to big plays. Like, they will stop you a little bit, but Haskins could easily rack up 300 plus with 2 touchdowns. And I think, again, if you're going in a different route, like I said, I'm really high on Wentz, I'm really high on Jimmy G, but I don't fault you if you see Haskins as a $5,000 value play week 1 against the Eagles secondary.
No, I agree.
So that kind of stood out to me when I was really, because I mean, I think Jameis Winston's like more than or it's like right around the same amount, like only a couple hundred as a backup. So
right. No, I agree. It's one of those picks. It's not sexy, and you don't feel comfortable when you put him in the lineup. But he's going to probably be behind. He's going to have to throw the ball at some point, you know.
And I say the same thing with year longs too. We did mention too, and obviously with daily quarterback's not always just playing Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. That's actually where you don't necessarily win the money. You know what I mean? Like 2 years, even playing Lamar Jackson as a rookie at the end of the year, even though he wasn't throwing for a crazy amount of yards, but he was rushing for 100 yards every game with a touchdown. That's more points than what Tom Brady was doing.
Right. One more guy that stood out to me on FanDuel was Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm. I didn't put him, but he was in my thought process, I will say too. So I'm there with you.
Yeah, he's 7,100. He's pretty cheap. The reason I like him though is not because of really Derek Carr. It's because of the defense they're playing in Carolina. Mm-hmm. So they're going to have the youngest defense to ever start. The 12 people that are starting, the average age is 23 years old. They're going to be very young. In the draft, they went heavy on the draft.
I think that's all. They only drafted defense. They didn't draft one offensive player.
Yeah, I think it's the first time anyone's ever done that. Just drafted strictly defense.
And they had a lot of picks. It wasn't like they had 3 picks. They had like 9 picks, all defense. So
it's clearly an issue, and it's clearly to me going to be an issue for a year, maybe 2 years, until these guys gel together and get some reps under them, right?
Yes.
The Raiders went out and they drafted Ruggs too, a guy that could stretch the field. They got Tyrell Williams. They've got Darren Waller. And then if you cover all that, you've got Hunter Renfrow over there, who's a possession guy who can get you the first downs, right? So I think they have a good wide receiver core. Derek Carr is an average quarterback. And I don't think he's a great, amazing quarterback. This is price considered at 7,100. And you got a young defense. It meshes well for me for the price. If he was more expensive, I probably wouldn't say it. But I think he's the 5th lowest priced quarterback on FanDuel right now.
He's like a 50, and in DraftKings he's 5,900. So he's with like Minshew, Burrow, and again he's actually 100 above Garoppolo. So you know what I mean, like Garoppolo. Again, plugging Garoppolo again, but no, I wouldn't mind Carr either. And again, it's all about the matchups and when to play guys. It's not like you're excited about Carr, but when you're building a lineup, especially week 1 here, Carr is a great matchup. He's a great value,
and he's $100 more than Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, so that's that's enough said.
Come on. Yeah, what's going on with that? So that's all I really had at quarterback for salaries that stood out. You know, who you got at running back?
Well, ones that stood out to me, I think it's still a good value because I still think he's going to get touches early on because of Harbaugh loving him. I saw Mark Ingram at 5,500, and it's not sexy, but I think he's going to get touchdowns. He's going to get touches until like Dobbins gets broken in a little bit. I know they saw a couple other guys with like Hill and whatnot, but I think until he doesn't keep producing, I think Mark Ingram's a guy, especially week 1, that you can play and get good value out of at 5,500.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So that's like my value one that was off the top. And real quick for one that I would avoid, like I'm gonna go with 2 avoiding real quick, and I'll let you. Yeah. I'm not paying. This is DraftKings prices. Obviously, I love Alvin Kamara. I'm not paying 7,200 against Tampa Bay's number 1 ranked rush defense in the NFL. Even though he's going to get catches, but I think Kamara week 1 stay away personally. And I do love me some Austin Eckler. Like I said, I talked about him a lot. But at 7,000 the first week when I have no clue what's going on with the Chargers offense, I'm avoiding until I know more. So that's me personally.
I've got the same 2 guys written down at running back for who I'm not playing.
Okay. Sorry about that. But I will say great minds think alike here. So
yeah, Kamara on FanDuel is 8,300. I'm not paying
too much.
I'm not paying that. I'm going to wait on the price drop. That's one of them where he's 8,300 this week. He goes out there and gets you 10 points, and next week he'd be 7,800, 7,900. Yep. I want that price drop, and I'll let everybody play him now. And I'm not saying he can't go out there and get you 3 touchdowns, 7 catches, and fill up the stat. I'm not saying he can't.
He could do that any week because he is really that good. But it's also seen now for a couple of years. These are the games that are set up not for him.
And you mentioned it too. Tampa Bay's run defense has been number 1. Yeah.
And, I mean, their defense in general is pretty good. It's just they don't realize. Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions and had how many fumbles? So he had like 40-some turnovers. That's insane. Like people just think Tampa Bay's defense wasn't good because they gave up points. Well, when they're playing with their back already in their end zone, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard not to give up touchdowns. But when you look at this is where you got to look at past what's just given on the cover for you and realize Tampa Bay's defense was not that bad last year. Jameis Winston was that bad at turning the ball over. Like historically,
he was
30. It's a whole different 30 for 30.
Winston can be good. I'm a Winston truther. I think he can be a great quarterback. He needs to get it. I think he went to the best spot he could go.
That is true too.
So the first thing that stood out to me was Joe Mixon. I know he's going against the Chargers. They have a great defense, but he's only 7,300. He's priced around Chris Carson, Nick Chubb, in that same general area. They're going to work him. They're going to give him carries. They got a rookie quarterback that they do not want to get hit. They're going to try to break him in. Joe Burrows are going to try to break him in, let Mixon run. He's probably going to get 20, 25 touches first few weeks of the And you've seen when they give him volume, if you look at his game logs and you look at the tape, when they give him volume, he has massive games. He has 130 yards, 140 yards. He gets in the end zone twice. He catches the ball. I mean, he can do everything. And they're not in a very – right now, they're not a very good offense if you look at it. To me, they're not a very good offense right now. They have talent, but they're not a good offense. So I think Mixon's going to be the guy for the first few weeks, and he's cheap right now. I don't think you're going to see him any cheaper than 7,300. He's going to steadily go up for the next 4 or 5 weeks because they're going to give him – he's going to be a workhorse back, 3-down back. I know Giovanni's still there. They don't want Giovanni.
No one wants – and only Marvin Lewis would want Giovanni Bernard in there for no reason. When you have Joe Mixon's talent.
There's that stigma, though, man. When people play these things, they try to outsmart themselves sometimes. And they go, yeah, but Giovanni's the pass-catching back. Yeah, I don't care. I really don't care. Matter. That's like, for an example.
And that's an example. Like, that's what I would do, especially when I started playing like 5 years ago, first time. You think you have to outthink, you know what I mean? Like, you have to really outsmart yourself, and that's when you get $0 in your bank account.
Right. A good example is I've been seeing reports, and I read a lot of the fantasy stuff saying Miles. I'll just go ahead and say my next one. My next one's Miles Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Far too cheap. Like I said, I got to look at it again here.
You see my heart. You saw my heart going. Right? You literally might be my favorite player in the league right now.
He's 6,800. 6,800. He's priced next to Leonard Fournette, Kenyon Drake, Mark Ingram, and Le'Veon Bell.
Yep.
I mean, this guy.
6,300 on DraftKings. Like I said, I'll have him too, but go ahead, Cameron. Sorry.
The only reason this man was not how many years was he at Penn State? He was there for 3 years.
He was the number 1 ranked running back recruit in the whole country.
Right. The only reason he did not start all 3 years is because Saquon Barkley was in front of him.
Who's otherwise possibly the greatest player in the history of Penn State football.
Right. This guy would have been a starter if it weren't for Saquon Barkley. He finally gets into the NFL, and the Jordan Howard effect takes over, which I hate Jordan Howard. And
we all do.
Carries, right? They finally start giving him the ball, and he shows this explosiveness. He's not priced right. He's just not.
Doug Peterson was on record, even though get better, coach. I know you have COVID, but get better. You're doing okay.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders is the workhorse. They will sprinkle Boston Scott and Clement in, but Sanders is a 3-down back, which I know is crazy saying because the Eagles do like, and that's the Peterson way. But come on, the last 6 weeks of the season when Sanders got the ball was game over. Fantasy-wise. Again, almost like Kyler Murray in a sense, take advantage of the pricing. Take advantage of the Eagles week 1 and all their pricing. Every position.
Every single position that I have at least one Eagles.
I think I'm playing 4 Eagles the first week, at least in a couple of the lineups.
Yeah.
Like I'm stacking 4. Like, because it's going to be a shootout. The Redskins defense, I know they drafted Chase Young, and they did a 31st ranked run defense last year. They have their secondary stinks, their linebackers stink. They have a couple. Their D-line's okay, but it's going to be a shootout because I think the Redskins will score some too, honestly, against the Eagles. But I think the Eagles are going to come out, especially with everything, all the negativity, unfortunately, that Wentz gets, which is insane to me, including among Philadelphia fans. Like, he's the best quarterback we've had in a long, long time.
You know Philly fans, they're never happy.
I'm one of them. But I hate a lot of the other ones.
Life disappointed. But they won the Super Bowl and burned the city. Like, it's just – I don't understand what happened there, but
it's exciting.
So I got 2 more running backs here that I looked at. I'm going kind of expensive for one, and again, it's the Carolina Panthers defense is why. Yeah. That's Josh Jacobs. He's a workhorse back. He's 8,200, so I know he's expensive. I get it, but he's a 3-down back. He's a goal line guy. He can get you in the end zone 2 or 3 times. He can rack up some yards. I'm not going to have, and I know I'll have Carr quite a bit. I'm not going to have them in the same lineup, but maybe a couple line because I do 150. I max in a lot of these times. Yeah. I may set it to where I only have 2 or 3 lineups to where I have Jacobs and Carr. Otherwise, I'm going to have a Raider in almost every lineup, almost everyone. Sometimes 2 Raiders because this defense in Carolina is not good.
Carolina's going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. Like I said.
They're going to be terrible.
They have Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, and they have talent, but it's going to be a rough year.
Yeah.
It's going to be a rough year.
I agree.
And then do you have any more running backs? I keep going, but do you have
any? No, that's all good. So this is kind of mine. This one, I have 2 that come with a caveat, depending on. So we still have time. We know we still have almost all training camp to pay attention to. So in Minnesota, if Dalvin Cook's holding out, Alexander Madison's 4,200. If Dalvin Cook does not really do much at all going into week 1, barely practicing, I think Alexander Madison's a really good play because when he got carries, he was really good last year. I mean, obviously Dalvin Cook's 7,900, Madison's 4,200. That's one to potentially keep an eye on. Obviously, we're going to do shows leading up to week 1, so we'll have more knowledge then. But I think the Vikings situation is one to monitor. And back to the Redskins situation, obviously changed a lot with Darius Geis being a complete idiot and getting what he deserved and being cut for being just a complete piece of bad word.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I think there's a couple interesting. I mean, I know they have Adrian Peterson still, amazing talent. I wish he wasn't there. So I'd love to see either Bryce Love or Antonio Gibson.
I wonder who this is.
Yeah. Well, you gave Mixon love, so I think he's probably happy about that.
But I didn't say he'd lead him to a Super Bowl.
No. But I do love, I said, Bryce Love or Antonio Gibson getting a chance. Again, monitoring the Redskins situation and the Vikings situation going to week 1. If you can get running backs at a good price that are playing 80% of the snap, like Alexander Madison, if Cook's not playing week 1, Madison I'm playing in every lineup because the value is going to be, even if it's as my flex, but I'm just saying the value is going to be insane, and he's at 4,200.
So I've got some value running backs too, but I'll finish out. We'll finish out my targets here. I've got one more. This is to me strictly a GPP guy because he has injury history. I don't know where he's at with his knee, how healthy he is, but I do think that this offseason, not going through all these workouts, not having to endure a bunch of the
stupid preseason games,
and all that kind of stuff, is Todd Gurley. He's 7,100. He's priced around Mark Ingram, Chris Carson, Leonard Fournette, around that range. I don't think anybody is really going to play Todd Gurley. They're going to have a sour taste in their mouth from the last season and a half to where he was touted as healthy and he wasn't healthy. I'm going to take some shots on Todd Gurley. I'm going to take quite a few shots because what I want to do is I want to get on him before anybody else does. Once that big game happens, it's happened. You've missed the boat. You can't. His price is going to go up. Week 1 is the time. If you're going to test out Todd Gurley, week 1 is the time. And I'm going to hop on him. It's against Seattle. I know it's not an ideal situation, but who else do they have at running back over there to take?
Ito Smith still maybe?
Yeah, Judge Ito and Wilson or what was it?
Allison or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's sarcasm coming from both of us. That was not they have Ito Smith and Quadre Allison.
Yeah. And they want to run the ball in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They want to. I know people think about Julio and Calvin Ridley and Matt Ryan and Austin Hooper and all those guys. They want to run the ball. They wanted it with
their most successful season when they made the Super Bowl. They had Freeman and Coleman both going strong. Again, with Shanahan as the coordinator, but still, that was Devontae Freeman's best year, and Tevin Coleman was really good. So they do want to run the ball, and it showed last year. I mean, they were terrible because they had zilch in the backfield.
Yeah, he's a massive upgrade, and I'll keep looking at the injury reports and making sure he's good to go and things like that. If I see anything about his knee might not be healthy, I probably will reel back a little bit. But I'm going to be pretty heavy on Todd Gurley just because I know a lot of people aren't, and I want to get on that big game more so than anybody else before it happens. Well, like I said, once it happens, you've missed the boat. Now everybody's on it. Now you got to go find a new spot, But anybody else?
And we mentioned before, just to reiterate, because I've been all over him all the time. I know you mentioned Kenyon Drake too. I know you mentioned he's 6,400 on DraftKings. I think you ride the momentum off of the end of last year. I think he's always had the talent. Yeah, he unfortunately played for Adam Gase in Miami. And I'm not saying Gase he was successful, but Gase would not play him because Gase is an idiot. I'm sorry. Sorry, any Jets fans out there. I feel if you're a Jets fan, you don't even like Gase.
I want to see universes just collide, and I want to see Jordan Howard get on an Adam Gase offense and just see what happens. Wouldn't that be such a nasty scenario that it actually turns out really good? Jordan Howard becomes an All-Pro. Two negatives make a positive. Isn't that how it goes?
It was Gase is let's give Kalen Ballage the ball. Let's just give Kalen Ballage the ball. Why not give it Kenyon Drake who's averaging 6 yards a carry?
Oh,
but I think I ride the Kenyon Drake momentum. 6,400, just like we said with Murray. I think the Cardinals' offense is going to be superb this year. Play the Cardinals' offense too early and often while their prices are not outrageous.
Yep.
I think they're matchup proof.
Who you got at receiver?
My biggest, like I said, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna be a homer for right now because I'm never really that big a homer, even if you watch the other episodes. Deshaun Jackson at 4,900 is you play him. He played 1 week with Carson Wentz last year against the same Redskins. Had 200 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. It was the only game he played last year. It showed on the Eagles' offense. Carson Wentz had 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Deshaun Jackson at 4,900 allows you to play some of your higher-end guys. Deshaun Jackson, I think, is going to be a wide receiver 1, week 1, and get return value, especially at 4,900. So he's like my lower-end guy. And one of my higher, I guess, end guys, like I said, is going – not higher-end, but I just think is going to – Allen Robinson. I just love Allen Robinson no matter who the quarterback is. And that's talking about Foles or Trubisky, probably Foles, I would guess. At 6,500, Allen Robinson, he's going to get 8 to 10 catches, probably 100-some yards, and a good chance for a touchdown. I just love Allen. I think he's when you talked about, we were mentioning about just a perfect, he's at a good salary to play. I think Allen Robinson's just, Detroit sucks. They got rid of Darius Slay, who was the only good defender. I'm sorry. I mean, just to be blunt, Matt Patricia's a terrible head coach. And the Detroit's going to be absolutely god-awful on defense. So, yeah. Allen Robinson's going to eat. You know what I mean? So, I like Robinson. I like Deshaun Jackson at 4,900 as some of the not the outside of the top, 8 guys there.
So, the first thing that I saw when I was going through the wide receiver salaries was A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd. They're $100 apart. I think maybe 200. Let me make sure.
Green, yeah, it's close. It's close. I know on DraftKings too.
Yeah, let me just scroll to it real quick. Hold on 1 second. Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, they are. Tyler Boyd 6,100. AJ Green is 6,200. So that's a decision that I'm gonna have to make with my GPPs.
Yeah. I'll say Boyd's actually 400 more than Green on DraftKings.
Okay. Yeah.
Boyd's 61 and Green's 5,700. Just as a reference.
Yeah. So that makes me lean towards Boyd, but So, if Green is healthy, I mean, come on, he's at 6,200 AJ and healthy AJ Green. I know he's not the AJ Green of 4 years ago. I get it, but 6,200 for still one of the most talented receivers in the league. I think AJ Green is one of those guys who's going to come out and he's going to have a good season. He's been rehabbing all off season into the previous season and the off season. He's healthy. He's been doing strength and core things. I don't even know how you do that on your feet and your ankles. He's been doing things just to prep his body.
And he wants one more contract. It's not going to be an outrageous contract, but to get a 3-year, $30 million contract still, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. After this year, he's going to come out ready to play. You know how players play in their contract years. You've seen it every sport. It doesn't matter. You see how they
it could be a situation to where I might double stack that. I just go, you know what? It's the top 2 receivers. I'll just double stack it with Burrow. I don't like that idea. That's not a fun idea. It's another one of those that's not sexy thing to do.
But Russell like it.
Oh yeah, and if I win the Millie, he'll be excited that I did it with the Bengals. But yeah, that's a decision that I'll have to make on AJ Green, as if he's worth the 6,200. I think he is right now. If reports come out that he's had a setback or he's not running as fast as he could with a healthy foot, I'll lean back on him. But the $6,200 price tag really stuck out to me. I mean, he's next to this range is
like I said,
he's only except for the fact that he's only $200 more than Jamison Crowder.
Yeah, he's only 100 more than John Brown. He's only 300 more than Alshon Jeffrey, who's not even going to play. on DraftKings.
The corpse of Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah. And another team's receivers I like real quick too. I like the Seahawks receivers against Atlanta secondary. I'm not a big proponent. I don't think Atlanta secondary is that great personally. They were susceptible last year as well. Tyler Lockett's 6,500, but DK Metcalf's only 5,800. And we saw him especially turn it on at the end of last year too. So I do like the Seahawks receivers, and especially Metcalf at 5,800, I think, could reward you a lot because they're going to come out. I mean, I know there's still Rashard Penny's still recovering from injury. Chris Carson, I know, still technically recovering from injury. I know they signed Carlos Hyde, but I mean, come on, it's Carlos Hyde. He's not terrible, but Russell's going to throw the ball, and He'll find Lockett. He'll find Metcalf. I think I like both of them. Probably Metcalf a little more than Lockett, but I like them both too. Week 1.
Yeah, so 2 guys at receiver that I like for their price. The first one, the casual fan, the people who aren't really don't play a lot, this is going to be their first time. They're not going to know who Allen Lazard is. He's the Packers' number 2 wide receiver. He's a stud athlete, and if he can just get some sort of a connection with Aaron Rodgers, this guy could be one of the best number 2s in the league. And with Aaron Rodgers, he's shown early in the season, if he throws to you and you catch it and you do something, he will just barrel that ball to you every opportunity he gets. And they're looking for it. They're looking for a number 2 wide receiver. I think this might be a good spot for him just to kind of break out. Everybody's going to be on Devontae Adams. Devontae's going to be doubled. That leaves low ownership and single coverage for Allen Lazard on the opposite side. I think that's a good spot. He had a couple good games last year. Nothing too crazy. He was the guy that would go. He would have a good game on like the Monday night slates or the Thursday night games. That kind of thing. So not a lot of people played him. But another one is I love Kenny Galladay, but Jones is cheaper. Mm-hmm. And if you look at their numbers, they're almost identical. And let me get the price difference here. So Jones,
I can tell you on DraftKings too. Galladay's $6,200 and Jones is $5,500, so it's a $700 difference on DraftKings.
It's $1,100 difference on FanDuel. $1,100. So I like Jones Jr. He's also the TD guy. So when they need to go into the end zone, typically they throw to Marvin Jones. They don't really throw to Galladay as much. Galladay is more or less the guy that gets them down the field, and then Jones is the guy who punches it in normally for about 20 yards, 25 yards out. I like his price. And then the last guy that really caught my eye was Christian Kirk. I think of the DeAndre Hopkins trade, he's one of the biggest beneficiaries of that trade because now he's got Hopkins on one side. He's going to have Fitzgerald in the slot, who Fitzgerald, love the guy, one of the greatest receivers of all time. But, I mean, he's starting to get up there. Or he is up there. He ain't starting to get up there. He is up there. And then you got Christian Kirk.
I think he's just going to be like kind of that old time. He's just going to be there. I think Kirk already showed breakout potential. Now you have Hopkins. I love Christian Kirk this year.
He also got injured, and I think week 3 or 4, he had a foot injury that never fully healed. And he was still out there playing, still making plays. And the week before that, or the week of the injury, he had like 160 yards and 3 touchdowns, I believe.
Yes, he had no, you're right. He had a monster game. On the exact numbers may be different, but he had a monster game early on.
Right, and I think he's going to have a good season. Who's going to cover him? It's going to be hard to cover him because if you choose to cover him, you got Fitzy and then you got Hopkins. And who you going to? You're going to cover Fitzy and Hopkins and leave Kirk to go wild, right? So I like Kirk's price there.
And 2 more receivers for me, like one I mentioned before, just because he killed the Eagles last year. Terry McLaurin at $5,600. I still think it's a good play. Like I said, I think the Eagles Redskins are going to be shootout just like the Cardinals 49ers we talked about. I didn't run down, but Cameron did mention the 49ers receivers week 1, 2 could be some good value there as well. And this one I'm calling the I just can't quit you player because I've seen what he can do, and that is Odell Beckham at $5,900. Even though they're facing the Ravens, he's like the drug that's just I can't stop putting in my system. Last year, I mean, 5,900 Odell. When you're thinking Odell Beckham, I don't think of the down years and the crap that was Cleveland last year. I think of one-handed catch Giants, watching him run all over my Eagles every week for 3 touchdowns because no one can cover him. I can't quit him yet, so he's in my just can't quit you yet play of week 1. That will probably suck completely, but I'm still addicted. I'm not in rehab yet off Beckham.
I've got him listed somewhere too here. So so let's go ahead. We'll move on to tight ends. This tight ends are just gross. There is not – I mean, the pricing is just terrible.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll start. And Homer, we sound the Homer alert again too. I mean, I don't usually like paying for tight ends, but there's so much value, like I said, at every position. Zach Ertz at $5,800, 200 less than Mark Andrews. Zach Ertz, I'm riding this first week. Zach Ertz, Wentz, Deshaun Jackson. We said Miles Sanders. First week of the season, the Eagles are going to come out slinging. I said all I talked about was the Eagles offense. You remember watching them play when they literally had Greg Ward as the number one receiver? Well, you know what I mean? Like I said, Eagles week 1. Like I said, Zach Ertz, if you're paying up, like I said, Mark Andrews 600, not so much. Jared Cook 5,500, I'm not loving. Even our boy Hunter Henry at 5,300, no. Ertz at 5,800. Like if I'm paying for a tight end, like I said, obviously, I mean, Kelsey's in the opening night game, but and Kittle's, you know, I mean, a lot. But Ertz at 5,800, I mean, is like 2,000 less than Kittle.
That price. I can go down to Darren Waller and get a whole nother player on my team.
Yep.
You could literally add probably another player. But George Kittle's 8,000.
Yeah.
8,000. I am never paying that much, not only for a tight end, but for George Kittle. Like it's just not going to happen.
He's awesome, but like I can't. You play that. I'm sorry, unless you hit on like guys that are like, you know what I mean. John Ross scores 3 touchdowns on the Bengals, which doesn't happen. But I'm just saying, like he's the awful name that comes to my mind. But you know what I mean. Like it's insane. Like he's literally like on DraftKings, Kittle's 7,200. Ertz is 5,800, Waller's 5,900. You know what I mean? Like that's
I'm not paying 8,000 when I can go to Darren Waller for 6,800.
Yeah,
against Carolina, I'm just not gonna. I'm going to take that 1,200 and I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yep.
The only way it makes sense to pay for George Kittle, and it doesn't even make a ton of sense, is if you're playing in a large tournament, he's going to have such low ownership at 8,000 because people are going to think just like this. They're going to be like, why am I paying 8,000 when I can go down and get Waller, Andrews, Hurt, Henry, Hayden Hurst, who are
he's on my
I mean,
I told you how much I love Hayden. He's like my big sleeper tight end this year, just in general with Atlanta.
Yeah, you can go down there and get those guys, and you're not going to pay. So maybe you take a shot and throw a few lineups with George Kittle in there. And hope he gets the 120 and 2 TD game. You know, but it's not likely. I don't.
I've never really won with paying for tight end, like when playing like Kelsey or Kittle. Like I mean, you win some, but I'm just saying, me personally, like I said, people definitely do it, obviously, but I'm just saying, for me personally, I don't pay crazy amounts for tight end.
Yeah, Waller's my number one. 6,800. I mean, Ertz is 6,600. Andrews is 7,400. I like all three of them. 7,400 for Andrews is still kind of expensive.
That's what I said. Like I don't mind Andrews. I just felt like for me, I'd much rather have Ertz or Waller.
Right. But
out of that group of tight ends, if we're you know what I mean, if that's where.
I mean, maybe because Hayden Hurst is gone now, maybe that rotation is slimming down, and it's not a revolving door because there was at one point there was 4 tight ends rotating in that you know, and Andrews is kind of taken over. Maybe he becomes an elite tight end. I know the numbers show that he's trending that way, but I'll have to see. He's one of those guys I'm going to wait, and either I'm going to get him. I'm either going to get him this week or next week, or I'm going to miss the boat, and he's going to be expensive, and I'm never going to get him. But other than that, I mean, do you have a lot to say about tight ends? Because it's just.
No. I mean, I do have, like I said, we mentioned Hayden Hurst, 4,300, and another like very to me value play is Jack Doyle at 3,600 for the Colts. I mean, if he's healthy, I mean, it's not exciting, it's not sexy, but there's sometimes he is boring. It's boring. Jack Doyle. Jack Doyle is not exciting. Black Jack Doyle, but about 3,600 Philip Rivers. I mean, Rivers has shown. I mean, he played with Antonio Gates all those years when Hunter Henry was healthy. Like, I think they're going to get tight ends the ball, and he's definitely can score in the red zone, especially with no Ebron there. I hate Ebron, by the way, too. I didn't even put him down for anything. Well, the Steelers, I think, have played the one Sunday night, or Sunday or Monday night. But and then I put this guy down just to make you mad because I remember, like, when we talked about tight ends, Chris Herndon's at 3,300. No, Dallas Goedert's actually good. Chris Herndon at 3,300. Again, he's like my mini can't quit you. But he's actually not even good.
Chasing him. I'm done chasing Herndon.
At 3,300, but again, against the Bills defense. But I must just put that down as like, if you really just are paying up other spots, you really just want a starting tight end that's dirt cheap. I mean, the few games he did play, Darnold and Herndon did connect 2 years ago. So
God, not 2 years ago. You know a lot going on in 2 years. You're talking like I'm done. I can't do it. I can't do it.
It's going on in 2 weeks since we talked about her.
So looking at the pricings, I have a couple people that I probably won't have a whole lot of. The first one is Drew Brees. Same thing with Kamara. I've got Kamara on the same list. He's too expensive. I mean, I know people think of Drew Brees as to air it out. That's 5 years ago. They're trying to run the ball. Latavius Murray, we haven't talked about him. His price on FanDuel, I think, is $5,200. That's a good price for him, I think, because he's the bull. He's the guy then on the goal line. They'll give him the ball to get it in. Kamara, again, I'm waiting on that price drop. Breeze, I'm waiting on that price drop. It may not happen in week 2. It may not happen in week 3, but week 5, 6, 7, that's when the salaries will probably start to drop, and that's when you can hop on them. What you want to do is wait till these big names, these big-time players have like 2 bad games in a row, and then you just want to hammer them and get on them because everybody else is off. They're cheaper, and they're coming off 2 bad games, and that's when they explode, and that's when you move up the leaderboards. So, so those are 2. I'm not going to be playing a lot of Baker Mayfield. I need to see a couple weeks how he is in this offense. I just do. He's got a new reworked line. He's got 2 running backs behind him, good receivers, 2 tight ends, a new head coach. There's a lot going on there, and I need to see how Baker responds. I can't just put money on him in week 1, especially against Baltimore. Yeah. So I'm waiting there.
So a couple quarterbacks for me. Like I'll just jump real quick. I agree completely with Drew Brees. Like I'm 6,800 on DraftKings. I'm out. I mean, I told you I do like Josh Allen this year, but week 1, the Jets defense was. I mean, I know they got rid of Jamal Adams. Jets defense was not awful. Like last year,
opted out too.
Yeah. So, but I think Josh Allen. I'm not paying 6,500 week 1 when we talked about guys like Wentz and Garoppolo and some other guys. Just the pricing's so much better. I mean, Kyler Murray's cheaper than Josh Allen. Like I couldn't look at my. You know what I mean? So I'm saying. So I'm out. And like Matt Ryan at 6,700, even though I think Matt Ryan could have a good week, but I think there's much better value than Matt Ryan. He's the guy like pretty much what Cameron was just saying a minute ago. He's the one that he'll have 2 bad games. He'll drop to like 5,600. That's when I would win money weeks jumping on Matt Ryan those weeks, especially home. No matter who they play, Matt Ryan at home, even though I know there's no crowd, but still just the dome itself. That's the weeks you jump on Matt Ryan and the Falcons offense because they'll put up some clunkers and then they'll be full go. But again, I'm not really Matt Ryan week 1 along with Breeze and Josh Allen. And I also put Aaron Rodgers on. I mean, 600, it's not like a terrible price, but I mean, he's not, like I said, I'm just kind of down on Rodgers in general this year.
Yeah. I've got 2 more just in pretty much my fade category. I'm not fading them, but I'm going to be real light with them. Is Hopkins in Arizona. Now I know we like Murray, I like Kirk, we like Drake. The problem that I have with Hopkins, and I know he's in the NFL, he's a professional, he's one of the best receivers in the league. He's going to a new team. He hasn't had time to mesh. They've had this COVID, so he hasn't had time to get in there and do the work that you normally would when you get traded to a new team. So there may be a couple of setbacks there. That could be one of those cases of me just sitting there overthinking this, doing what we talked about in the beginning where I try to outsmart the field and I go, you know what, he's in a new offense, and that could come back to bite me. I'm probably going to be pretty light on Hopkins. And keep in mind, this is also, guys, our first look. We haven't really – there's still a lot of things that could change in a month.
And especially this year, like I said, this comes with a warning unlike any year before. And like I said, we'll be doing this a couple days before the game starts. And there could be Saturday games by that point. Yeah. Like I said, stuff's going to change. Players, I mean, even though it changed, players will still opt out. You know, I mean, even though the deadline passed with what they were doing before, but players will still opt out and things will change. So just got to stay tuned with all this. But again, like I said, this is the initial look because we just love fantasy football and all this stuff. So, I mean, we need it.
When the salaries came out, I messaged you and I messaged Russell and I was like, oh my God, they're here. Like we're almost into the happy land. Like it's almost here.
It's crazy because preseason, and I know preseason's not exciting, but they were doing preseason games already. You know what I mean? You just don't think about stuff like that because, one, you have sports playing that aren't normally playing anyway with basketball and hockey and what's going on. It's just weird.
At work sweating NHL and NBA at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Hey, I keep telling Phil, man, you got to bet the Flyers, man. I keep posting every time he tweets out. You know, he's doing great, but it's mostly because I'm trolling since the Flyers are actually really good. So.
Yeah, guys, also on our page, if you like to sports bet and you're watching this a little bit later, you guys should go check out Phil, his on-the-card videos. He's been smashing lately. We started off. Listen to this, though. His very first card, he started off, I think it was 7-0,
Mm-hmm. It was 7 or 8. It was either 7 or 8 in a row.
Yeah, 7 or 8 in a row. We've also had 3 or 4. I say we, Phil, but Russell Hans Show Sports. We also had 3 or 4 super bad beats. One of them,
Derek White.
Oh my God, I had him. I don't know if you saw that, but I tweeted it out.
I saw the tweet then. I mean, then I was watching it. Like besides that, I saw the show. I was like, wow, that's Scott Van Pelt bad beat of the night.
I know. Like if you guys aren't aware, what happened is on the card. We put on the card Derek White over 16.5 points with the Spurs Pelicans game, which was an absolute stone cold lock, right? He had 16 points midway through like the second quarter. So he comes, so all we need is one free throw, one layup, one something. He comes out in the third quarter, one shot, hurts his ankle. And he's out. And we lose the battle.
You can't make it up. You can't make this stuff up.
Yeah. There was another one too. There was another soccer bet where I think they scored a goal, but it was offsides, and they didn't call it. So we lost that one. But yeah, guys. Anyway, tune into the channel on the
joys of betting.
He's doing daily shows at noon, I believe. New bets every day. He's super good. He's smashing these bets. Y'all should hop on.
Win some money.
Yeah, but anyway, so back to week 1 pricing here. A couple of guys we've already touched on some of these for me. Odell Beckham, low price, super low. Like you said, he's the guy that could go out there. I mean, at any moment on the field, he can give you at any second give you 80-yard slant route to the house.
He's the girl that you refuse to not stop sending drunk Facebook messages to, like because you just can't get over it. It's literally Odell Beckham in regards to daily fantasy football.
Yeah, and then I have my stand. I think this might be my stand of the season right here. So Russell has the Cincinnati Bengals winning the Super Bowl or going to the playoffs. I don't care. They're not doing anything. You could say playoffs, wild card. I don't care. Division. They're not doing it. But anyway, I believe that Jonathan Taylor is the alpha and Marlon Mack is the beta here. I love Jonathan Taylor. I love him. His price is too cheap. They've come out and said that they want to do a 1-2 punch. When you've got Taylor, you draft Taylor, and you say you want him to be a 1-2 punch, and you're talking about Taylor. You know what that tells me? That tells me you want a 1-2 punch until Marlon Mack doesn't perform, and then you give him 3 down.
He'll also be hurt by the first game, so it doesn't matter.
And for a couple of years, I was a Mack guy. I was a Marlon Mack guy. I thought he was a great player.
And that's why you're even more of a Jonathan Taylor fan.
Yeah, I need him gone. I need him to quit spending my money. So another one that I kind of looked at, Stephon Diggs. Only reason I said that is because Stephon Diggs likes to go deep. He likes to run those deep routes, deep slants. And we all know Josh Allen loves to just sling. I don't like Josh Allen, but I like Diggs. He likes to just sling it out there. Diggs can go out there and get the ball, take it to the house easily. And you can jump in anytime. I'm just going through the different.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'll say I was just looking. One of the receivers for me, and this is because I just don't believe. I'm not a big Teddy Bridgewater fan. I root for him because the injury was horrific, and he's a good dude. I mean, I'm fading DJ Moore early in the season because I don't know. I like DJ Moore a lot, but I just don't know with that offense. You know what I mean? Just what's going to happen. You saw Bridgewater came in, didn't even have that much success with Michael Thomas last year. You know what I mean? The best receiver in the league, getting the ball down the field. Right. Like I said, I mentioned my running backs earlier. Like I said Kamara. We said Eckler. I also mentioned Aaron Jones at 6,900. I just at that price. I mean, I know he scored 20 touchdowns last year, but I mean, you don't. Again, they drafted AJ Dillon. He's going to get carries. Not that I agree with it. I like Aaron Jones, but again, I'm not paying 6,900 for Jones when there's like Cameron said, I'd rather pay 6,100 for Todd Gurley than 6,900 for Aaron Jones against the Vikings defense week 1. And another receiver for me is Keenan Allen, and that's only because of the quarterback play at 6,400, which usually for Keenan Allen, that's not a terrible price. But with Tyrod Taylor, if it's Herbert to start, I need to see it, and I'm not playing. I'm kind of avoiding Keenan Allen to start the year too.
Yeah. Let's see here.
I just jumped around at a random.
Yeah, GPP, and keep on. A lot of what I go by is GPP. I don't know if you play cash games or if you play 50-50s or GPPs.
I don't really consider. I can just kind of differ it up each week.
So I'm straight GPPs. I don't do the 50-50. I don't do the cash games. it don't get me excited to win $10 a lineup. I'm putting the lineups in because I'm trying to win the big one. I've got Jalen Reagor as a possibility. He's running the X receiver. Doug Peterson seems to like him a lot. I mean, they drafted him over a couple.
He's going to get a shot. I'll say that because Alshon's hurt too. Yeah, like I said.
Brandon Ayuk, Niners receiver. I mean, you've got Kendrick Bourne and him and Kittle. Because I can't think of his name right now. Is hurt. Debo's hurt. Yeah. I think they said he may be back week one, but
like it's a foot injury.
Yeah,
I believe, and those are like tricky. AJ Green was supposed to be back by like week 2 last year.
Yeah,
I drafted him in a couple year longs, like value. You know what I mean? Yeah, that paid off.
I got Ruggs as well. The Raiders, Ruggs. Mm-hmm. These are home run guys too, guys. These are like your home run guys. These guys aren't guys that are going to get 9-10 targets a game. These are guys that are getting 2 or 3 targets a game, but one of them could always be the one.
The Hollywood Brown role.
Yeah, but these guys are. I think these guys are
even
Hollywood Brown.
Oh yeah, I'm not a big Hollywood Brown fan.
We talked
about it before.
Yeah, they said he's put on a lot of muscle. I don't. How much muscle can he put on that body?
I don't know.
And even still, it kind of doesn't that take away from his. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it. And I got 2 value guys left. The first one, Ronald Jones. He's going to be the guy he's going to get the start. He's going to get the chance to be the guy. He has got to be able to catch passes out of the backfield. He has never done that in his career. Tom Brady's going to make him do it. And if he doesn't, they've got a couple other players. I think Vaughn is opted out or he's on the COVID list.
He's on the COVID list, my boy. So
yeah, so he's not going to be much of a player.
Big Shady McCoy.
The corpse of Shady McCoy. I mean, I like McCoy. I liked him back when he was in Philadelphia, but he's not the same guy anymore.
I think I was in college.
Yeah.
And just so you know, I'm in my mid-30s now, so that kind of tells you like the heydays of McCoy.
I was a junior in high school when he was in. So that just tells you, man. And then my last guy that I looked at the pricing is a Washington Redskin running back that you did not mention, and I was kind of surprised you didn't mention him. Peyton Barber.
Okay.
No, not AP. Peyton Barber.
No, I know, yeah.
Ron Rivera came out and said, I think last week, or maybe it was a few days ago, he said, do not forget the name Peyton Barber. If a coach goes out there and says that about you, that means they hold you in pretty high regard. He doesn't, and Ron Rivera is not a guy that goes out there and just talks a lot of stuff just to talk. When he says something, typically he means it and he stands behind it. And who are they going to go to? I know you said Bryce Love, AP.
And they have Antonio Gibson, rookie. But that's what I'm saying. Like, whoever if there's a guy that comes out that you know is going to get enough volume week 1, it's going to be a good matchup. Because Eagles, especially if they're going to catch the ball, the Eagles get killed by running backs out of the backfield, catching the ball. I mean, they're good at stopping the run, but dude could get 5-6 catches and score a touchdown.
And I'm going to keep track of this as well with Barber, the reports. If he's gaining any sort of steam, I don't see a lot of people playing Peyton Barber. I just don't. He's not. He's another one of those guys that he gets in there. He doesn't. His name isn't a big name, but when he gets a full workload, he gives you a fantasy workload. He'll give you 80 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he's only 4,600 on FanDuel, I believe. 46 or 4,700.
So would you call him the Jack Doyle of running backs?
That's yes. Jack Doyle of running backs. Yes, yes. But that's all I got for the values. Did you have anything else to add?
I mean, I covered a lot of like the values. I think more so like when we said we did tight ends. I mean, an interesting one like is just Gronk at 4,900. Like I said, I don't want to play him because I don't want to like. I'm saying I'd write him down because it's Gronk. So I just said I think a value though could be as long as Stafford's playing. Hawkinson at 4,200. Keep an eye on what the Detroit offense is looking like. I know they played the Bears, like I said, but the Bears, the one spot that Bears struggle against was tight end last year and the year before. That's the one spot the Bears are very susceptible to is tight end. And I think they can be passed on, like you're saying, with like Galladay and Jones you're talking about before too. I think they can be passed on. The Bears defense, they're more like the turnover, not necessarily stopping teams completely.
Right.
I will mention, and again, I'm not a big defensive guy person. Like I said, I stream in my year longs. I mean, 2 defenses I did write down though. I put the Colts at 3,000 against Jacksonville and the Raiders at 2,600 against the Panthers. Those are 2 defenses that kind of probably just as of now, things could change. that kind of stood out to me at like good value because I try not to pay up for defense ever.
Yeah, I mean, with defense, what I do, I don't even. So when I do build my lineups and I do the optimizer, I don't even do anything with the defense. I set my lineups and then I'll go through and I'll be like, I want 4 defenses, and then just put them wherever you put them. Like, it doesn't matter to me because typically what happens, I just want the defenses that are going against high-powered offenses because that pass the ball. I want quarterbacks that pass the ball, like that sacks, fumbles, interceptions, returns for touchdowns. That's what I want. I don't care who the defense is. It could be the worst defense in the league. It only takes one pass to return it to the house for 6.
And that's all you need.
So
that's the biggest thing. Don't sweat defenses. Don't sweat defenses ever in fantasy, whether it's year long or dailies. Don't draft defenses.
But so we're, like I said, this was our first look, guys. We just wrote down some names, some salaries that we looked at that kind of caught our eye. Cheap guys, expensive guys who are not going to play. We'll definitely be on. The season's 4 weeks away. I would estimate we'd probably be on here at least 3 more times, just going over news, reports, things like that. We're going to be doing, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, either Friday nights or I believe it's Saturday nights for the main slates on Sunday, or are we doing Sunday mornings when the injury report comes out? I can't remember which one we decided.
I think we're still talking about it.
Okay.
But we could figure it out. I mean, like I said, nights are better for me personally, just with the young child.
Right. So we'll also be on here at least 3 more times, once every week when the season starts. At least I'll probably hop on, and Josh can hop on with me if he chooses to as well. Just giving updates on the season, what happened, injury reports, those kinds of things. Let us know in the comments if you guys agree with us, disagree with us, and we will let you guys know when we will be back on here, okay?
And we love, like I said, I don't care. You can call me the dumbest person in the world. I don't care. But I like having dialogue, whether it's Twitter or on the Facebook page. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of fun. We enjoy it.
And if there's a player that we didn't name.
We rag on each other. It's fun, too.
If there's a player we didn't name that you think we missed, let us know. Well, I'm active. I look at all the comments, guys. So we'll see you guys next time.
All right, have a good one.